Is it hard for you to visualize because you can't picture how you can make that life happen? So let's say that you work a 9 to 5 job that you're not in love with, and you want to travel the world and have time freedom and some money freedom as well. But you don't know how you could live that life. If that's you, don't feel alone. I think there's a lot of people in that arena, and I was one of them. That's why this morning, in a conversation with one of my clients about this, why I thought this is a great video, because I think not knowing how holds a lot of people back. And if you're anything like me, I had made my first vision boards back after The Secret, but didn't really take it serious. And then later on in 2013, I got into a network marketing company, really wanted to get to the top of this company because I had a dream of having that freedom to travel, having the time, having the money. Yeah, I had the money in the real estate career, but I didn't have the freedom. And I didn't know how I could ever create that. At the age of 56, starting a new career was not at the top of my list. And I really wanted to make the network marketing work. I loved it. I love the business model. I love the products. I love the people. But the problem was, after 7 years, it just wasn't working. I had the vision of this time freedom where I could travel the world and take my girls and fly first class, all the things, but I could never, ever make it happen. So that was a frustration. And pretty soon, all those vision boards that I had created just became a source of frustration. I'd walk past and be like, oh, that didn't happen. These things don't work. That didn't happen. These things don't work. Now, I also want to follow that up with the fact that many things on my vision board did happen. Like one of the big things that I had was taking a cross-country camping trip with my girls. And we got to do that when they were 15. So there were things that did happen. But at the same time, one of the things that I wanted more in the world was to, at least get mid-level in that company and really get some success under my belt. I'd been a successful realtor, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? So the more I wasn't getting success, the more I was making myself wrong. Like, there's something wrong with me. Other people are doing it. I mean, hell, there were 19-year-olds doing it, but I couldn't make it happen. So do you see the vicious cycle that I got into? And I think that there are probably a lot of people that get into this vicious cycle, especially as we get to the older ages, because we've had some failures under our belts. And then we make it mean something. We create a story around those failures. We make a story around why something isn't working. So for me, it was, I just don't have what it takes. That was my story. Well, now looking back, I know it just wasn't my path. It wasn't what I was meant to be doing. But what that company did for me was introduce me to personal development. And I loved it. I didn't realize that this was ultimately going to be my path. So I'm telling you all of this because you don't need to know how. You need to believe in you. You need to believe that if one person can do it, you can do it. And you have what it takes. And that was where I needed the mindset shift. And yes, I was in all the personal development. I walked on the hot coals. I broke an arrow on my esophagus. I broke more boards than I can count. But none of it changed anything, because 2 weeks after those events, 2 weeks after the course, I would be back to being myself. It wasn't until I took a program, it was a Bob Proctor program, and I started to understand the brain science behind it. Now, about that same time, I found Joe Dispenza. Started doing Joe Dispenza's meditations, reading his books. So I really started to understand this isn't just some woo-woo thing. There is science, it's neuroscience and quantum physics and a little bit of the woo-woo. So I understood the concepts, but when Bob would say the how is not your business, I'm like, well, how is the how not my business? If I want to drive to town, I need to know how to drive a car. I need to know, how to get to town. I need to know the directions, all the stuff. But he would say, the how is not your business. And it was, again, one of those things that was just a little frustrating for me. But now in hindsight, looking back, there is no hustle when you learn how to do this from that quantum realm, when you learn how to get into the flow of life. So that's what Bob meant by the how is not your business. Now, my own personal example of this is in one of Joe Dispenza's meditations. I heard you're supposed to be a life coach. Now, I was 56 years old, and the first thought that came to my mind was, oh, no, hell no. I was tired of the hustle, hustling for clients in the network marketing business, hustling for clients in real estate. I just felt like my whole life at that point had been hustle. And I didn't want to start a business at the age of 56. I think I just was hoping to manifest, like being a millionaire and being able to travel the world. But that didn't happen. But what I heard was you're supposed to be a life coach. I understand now the reason that oftentimes those things don't happen is because we are put here to impact other people's lives. We are put here not to be an island, but to be a community, to help others to see the light, to help others find a home, to help others heal from diseases, whatever that might be. We are here for a purpose. So yeah, just getting rich sounded amazing. But even if we look at Tony Robbins, Esther Hicks, Bob Proctor, all of these people put work in to get to where they are. They followed their calling. They followed where their impact was going to expand other people's lives. So again, that's a key right there. Like there's something probably laying in your heart that could help you to manifest. It could be something small. Maybe it's impacting your kids, maybe it's impacting your family or friends, or it could be something more grandiose, like, Bob Proctor there again, Mary Morrissey, Tony Robbins. Back to my own story, I didn't know how I was going to make this happen, but I heard it was supposed to happen. So came to Costa Rica on a vacation. I now finally had a little time to focus on getting a certification. Now, my thinking mind, when I heard about the program that I now coach, the Dream Builder program, and I talked to one of Mary Morrissey's sons and I heard the price, I'm like, oh no, absolutely not. So my thinking mind, my paradigm had me go with the less expensive just life coaching certification. Started that, got a few clients, and I hated it. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd rather go back into real estate than to have to do this, because I knew helping somebody solve their time management, helping somebody, talk to their spouse or whatever it might be, was going to be a short-term fix, because now I understood the brain science behind this. I understood that we need to rewire the brain, and it's not going to happen in a few sessions. This is spaced repetition. This is understanding these concepts. If you don't understand them, yeah, you can manifest just sometimes just because you're manifesting all the time. But when you understand these concepts, you can manifest with intention. But I decided to take the weekend course. And when I did that, again, I heard that voice that said, this is what you're supposed to be coaching. And it wasn't wrong. 2 months later, I fast tracked my progress, got my certification. 2 months later, I started coaching. And out of the gate, I had a big business and there was no hustle involved. So you see, I didn't have to know the how. I needed to learn to listen to the intuition when it was talking to me, but I didn't have to know how I was going to get here. And at that same time, again, I was just on vacation here in Costa Rica. So it was December 12th, 2021, when I landed, went to my Airbnb, went out that night, met some of the expat community, loved my Airbnb host. I was here for a month. 3 weeks later, manifested the opportunity to buy this house. But again, I just finished a remodel in Florida on my other home, and my bank account was in cardiac arrest at this point. I was on a 3-month vacation. Thank God for the Airbnb. How was I going to make that work? I fell in love with this house, beautiful views of the lake and the volcano and the rainforest. I just couldn't see the how. So I let that hold me up for about another 3 weeks, honestly. I loved the house. I wanted the house. I didn't speak Spanish. How was I going to make this work? How could I live in a country where I didn't even know the language? So you see how the how kept tripping me up. But when I really sat with what would I love, that was the question that I kept asking myself. What would I love? What would I love? I really wanted this house. I really didn't want to live in the United States anymore. And so when I asked that question, it came to me. I know that's a long story, but that's how this works. When you make the decision and you have a firm intention, so my intention was not to have to live in the United States anymore. My intention was to travel the world and be able to travel first class. When we make the decision with the firm intention, with those elevated emotions, and that's what I had for this house, and that's the passion I had for this Dream Builder program when I heard that this is what I'm supposed to be coaching. I just, I had so much excitement that it had to happen. And when you marry those three, the decision, the intention, the emotion, the universe aligns. It brings the circumstances, it brings the people, it brings the finances, it brings everything that you need. You just have to get out of your own way. So if you're looking at your vision board and you're wondering how could I ever live that life? How could I ever have that health? How could I ever have that body? Just know that it's possible. I've had clients who are housebound, who are now living a full life. They've created their own careers. One lady was 7 years, couldn't leave her house, and she's now, making jewelry, doing events, speaking on stages. That's what's possible when you marry those three concepts: the decision, the intention, and the emotion. So you just need to get that vision for your future. Tomorrow is May 1st, 2025. I am hosting a free master class, How to Create Their Own Mind Movies. You see this before tomorrow. I'm putting the link below so that you can register for the master class. And I have a free school community, Houseable Manifestation. The link is below for that as well. We have a 14-day free manifestation activation challenge. It's a lot of fun. And if nothing else, you're going to learn a lot about manifestation. So thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed this. And just know you don't need to know how. Just start taking steps toward that life that you would love and ask that one question: what would I love? And know that you are worthy of it.